Okay, guys, we're going to get going in a second. All good? Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Wayne Clara. I'm going to talk to you today about continuous improvement with Toyota Kata. It's a very international field. Steve's from New Zealand. I'm from Essex. Has anyone seen the programme The Only Way is Essex? No. Thank you. None of it's true, none of it's real. Continuous improvement. Toyota have a saying, there is always a better way. On average, they make around 1,000 changes on any assembly line in a given year. That's over 1 million small fixes every single year. They've recently just gone back as a top car manufacturer, just a few days ago, beating GM again. That's after all the trouble they had in Japan. So once again, they've gone straight back to the top. How do they do this? It's not via projects or workshops, it's via continuous improvement and adaptation. A few years ago, I was at a conference in Belgium, the Lean Kanban conference in Belgium, and everybody was talking about Toyota Kata. I don't know if people go to a lot of Lean Agile conferences, but every year there's a book that everybody talks about. And a few years ago, everyone was talking about Toyota Kata. And I was seeing all these people stand up and speak, and this is the most fantastic book in the world, this is life-changing, it's changed my view on agile development, lean development, it's amazing. A guy called Alan Shalloway from Net Objectives was talking about it, Mary Poppendieck, everyone was incredibly excited. And then a year later, Lean Startup came out. And that was the most amazing book in the world, it was a game changer, this is it, the world's going to be completely different. So every year there's something new that comes out. A few years ago it was Toyota Kata, but it stuck with me. There was something about that book. I sort of read it. I loved what it was saying. It kind of made sense to me. I'll explain why in a little bit. And throughout the book, it comments that there's a way they work, a way they operate. It aligns with something called the talent code. Something called accelerated learning through struggle. I'll talk about that in a little bit as well. Now, there's lots of very cool people who've done lots of work on applying Toyota Kata principles into software development. There's a guy called Hakan Force. If you just Google Hakan Toyota Kata into any search engine, I call it Google, you'll find lots of cool information. But I can highly recommend these books. So what is Toyota Kata? First of all, what on earth would we do without Toyota as Lean Agile consultants? They have been studied mercilessly for years and years and years and years. This is my take on it. Organisations go there, consultants go there, people go there, and they try and understand, they try and see what the difference is. Why are they improving? Why are they the number one? What is it? And people go there and they look at the tools, they look at the practices, they look at the principles, they see everything visible. And they go away and they reappropriate it. But they never sort of dig a little bit deeper. There's this story that's told in a book. It goes, a typical automotive firm went there, had a little look around, and on a particular assembly line, they were building cars, and they were turning around to something called a flow rack. And they were taking bits from the flow rack and bolting them onto the cars. Oh, this is fantastic. And I went, yes, it's very cool. This line used to just be able to assemble one car. Now we can assemble 4 cars. It's fantastic. And these guys went, this is brilliant. They run away. Everyone started implementing flow racks. Because that is clearly best practice, because this is what Toyota did. So they ran away, they implemented best practice for automotive assembly. A few years passed, they went back, and they discovered same plant, same assembly line, but the flow racks had gone. And these guys were very upset because they'd gone away and implemented best practice. And they went, so what's happening now? And these cars were coming down the line with little boxes in front of the cars. And the guys were just taking bits out and bolting them onto the cars. And they went, well, what's better? Is it the little boxes travelling down the line, or is it the flow racks? And it's all these guys that tell you to stand there going, I have no idea what you're talking about. This solved a problem at any point in time. Every time you come here, all you're seeing is our solution to our problems. That's it. So there's an interesting saying floating around. The guy called John Seven says it an awful lot. Beware of the tool heads. People that sort of run into organisations, find these sort of best practice items, run away and go and sell it to people. This is what happens in. This is what Toyota didn't understand. It's like we're just solving problems here. So I don't understand why you're coming in and taking this and running away. Kata is about mindset. They have a totally different way of operating. They're not about applying best practice. What Toyota have is an entire workforce of people who are highly skilled at problem solving. That's everything they do. They not worry about applying best practice or installing new CRM systems, nothing like that. It's all about mindset. Skilled problem solving in pursuit of a common vision. So how on earth do you encourage a workforce to become skilled at problem solving? How does this happen? They do it through something called deep practice. I'm going to run a very quick experiment. Can everybody fold their arms? Very natural. Can you fold it the other way? I actually can't do this particularly well. How did it feel the other way? Weird. It's weird, right? It doesn't quite, that's natural. I'm comfortable like that. Does anyone know the difference between the two? Why one felt weird and one didn't?
Habit.
Habit? Absolutely. One was driven by our subconscious. Do it this way, I don't have to do it, it's like breathing. That's easy. You can fold my arms. The other way, it's in my conscious thought, I've got to think about where I place my hands. Now, in an organisation like Toyota, these guys can problem solve subconsciously. It's in their makeup, it's what they do. Every single day they are practicing problem solving. They do it through deep practice, attentive repetition builds skill. What they're doing, this is fascinating to me, 1,000 times a year each assembly line is making a change. 1 million times a year these guys are assessing a situation and creating a solution to a problem. And this is what builds talent. It's interesting, there's a movement on Twitter, everyone knows, it's hashtag knows something. It's like something driven development, hashtag knows something. And so there's a nice one called hashtag knows CV. And it's quite an interesting movement, right? Because why recruit someone with lots of skills in a particular CV? Why not recruit somebody who has the ability to practice deeply, who has the mindset just to learn immediately and solve problems? So there's this driving force that just recruit somebody who's got that ability, that innate ability to problem solve. But it's quite an interesting thing to try and do. This attentive repetition that builds skill, there's a particular zone that you need to get into to do it. If I jump back a slide. To do deep practice, to practice like that, to build that kind of skill, requires a spark. It requires some sort of ignition. And you need to get this just right. It requires a lot of intense coaching, because it's a very fine line. If you've got these skills, I'm very capable at my job, I'm just a bit bored. If you go too far too soon, it becomes very anxious. You don't like it, you stop very quickly. So there's a Goldilocks zone of learning, where you're kind of in the zone. Don't know if you ever get in that zone. It's what footballers get into. It's this practice piece where you've got this big problem and you're breaking it up into tiny pieces. And you're getting slightly better each time. I've practiced that, I'm a little bit better at that, a little bit better at that. And it's this fantastic period where you're sort of desperate, hungry, you're learning so rapidly. That's what drives it. It's just learning through struggle. Now, if an individual is learning like that, and every individual in an organisation is learning that, the organisation is going to become very powerful. So this is how an organisation can grow and learn. And I hesitate about showing this to you guys, got to admit. This is my personality score. There was a few more like it. I didn't want to show those, to be honest, but this this is what kind of drew me to Toyota Kata in the first place. Apparently, I'm a pioneer integrator. I like spontaneity, I like creativity. I score very badly as a guardian, people who like things that are tried and true. I experiment a lot, perhaps too much at times. But these were my scores. And in where I work at the moment, we encouraged all of our people to complete these tests because it gives you a frame of reference in a moment of struggle. When you're going through a particularly tough release or you're going through something that's very challenging, knowing how to interact with each other is very important. And when you're encouraging someone to struggle and you're aware that they're in that tension point between boredom and anxiety, know what drives them, know what their core focus is and what's at their core element. There's a few other interesting bits and pieces. If you click Learn More, this is a very good website actually. This is going to see, does everyone know the Myers-Briggs score? Everyone knows Myers-Briggs. It's kind of a bit of fun. It's kind of like what we call a psychology test, to be honest. There's a lot more rigor around it. This is something called business chemistry. It's a free online test you can do to get very interesting scores. You can go even further to something called 16 PF, 16 personality factors, and it gives you a deep understanding of who you are, who your team is, and understanding when you're in a situation where you encourage them to learn and to struggle, how to interact with each other. According to this, I'm self-promotional as well if you're a pioneer, which may explain my understanding of trying to do today.
Good way.
It will please to know the coaches in the room that there's still a spot for coaching in all this. Attentive repetition builds skill. Now, as I said before, deep practice takes a huge amount of energy. It's exhausting. When you're in that zone, you feel tired after you've gone through it. It needs a spark. Now, if you're a football player practicing, you want to emulate Messi, you want to emulate Ronaldo, you want to do all these great things. That's your spark. I want to be like him. If you're a tennis player, you're copying the swing of Federer. But there's other ways to ignite passion in somebody. Master coaching, a coach that can encourage and make sure people are operating in that zone, is important. Master coaching provides that little creative spark to get people towards talent. It's this sustained motivation. It's they're teaching the love of the subject. Toyota had these coaches all about this, what their managers do. They try and encourage that spark in their people. It takes a huge amount of energy and a huge amount of effort to get by. Ignition plus deep practice equals talent. Toyota are incredibly skilled at problem solving. Every single day they're running experiments, they're improving the way of working by deep practice. Okay, we're down on time. So what is Toyota Kata? In pursuit of a vision, this is very important, in pursuit of a vision, a direction giver, understand where you are, and slowly and incrementally move towards your target condition with that vision as a direction giver. There's obstacles in the way, and you run through iterative cycles. Are we all familiar with PDCA, PDCA? Talk about that in a little bit towards the end. But this is the improvement card. I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into this now. Visions. In case you're wondering why there's a picture of Homer Simpson looking at a psychoactive toad, it's a very interesting way of getting a vision. But traditional companies believe they should all have a vision because maybe that's what the toolheads told us to do, I'm not sure. But a vision that people buy into, that they believe in. And when I talked to a few people, I said, what's the vision of your organisation? What's the vision of your company? No one could really answer. No one really knew. Visions tend to appear on slide 3 of most PowerPoint decks. It tends to be the first section, the About Us section on the corporate website. About Us, vision, that's it there. That's where you'll find it. That's where you're driven towards it. But it's not a direction giver. It's not used as something to provide focus for anybody in an organisation. It's just something we should have. We should have visions. We have principles, right? What you want is your leaders in that organisation to embody that vision. If you've got a vision and it says something about focusing on quality, but you've got leaders and managers who don't remove impediments to quality, it's going, oh, whatever, don't worry about it, then it's not, the vision's nothing you can believe in. It's not true, it's not real. So there's absolutely zero point in having that vision. kind of Toyota's vision. This is their philosophy. Survive long term as a company by improving and evolving how we make good products for the customer. It's built into their philosophy, it's part of their ethos. They are all about improving and evolving with a long-term focus. Something completely different. A lot of companies, the general manager of GM many years ago, Sloan, I believe his name was, I think it was Alfred Sloan, said they're not in the business of making cars, they're in the business of making money. Well, that's probably a true vision at the time. That's exactly what they were interested in doing, and they did a very good job at it in very different ways. But this was the true vision of Toyota. This is their production vision. For those who are familiar with Deming, it always strikes me as very similar to the system of profound knowledge. A focus on quality, zero defects, always chasing quality. 100% value added, zero waste. One by one, continuous flow on demand to the customer. And a part that's always forgotten in almost any vision, well, most visions, security for its people. So they look after its people. They're going to grow long term. They're focused on quality. All of these are fantastic attributes. And that, as a vision, as a direction giver for an organisation, when all of the leaders and people in the organisation believe it, is fantastic. Because they all know they can see it every day. It's something that's built into them as sort of an ignition for that deep practice. It's a fantastic thing. We are all going in that direction. And you have a vision, you've got to understand where you are now. This is the key part, and it's something that's glossed over all the time. We do a lot of retrospectives. We do an awful lot of retrospectives. We generate a huge amount of ideas in our current organisation. And some of them come out as just solutions and just nice ideas. And we've got to implement this, we should do that. I've got a great idea for this. You need to adequately understand the current situation. It's considered very poor form in Toyota to try and improve something if you don't know how it works. You've got to understand how it works. The guy that wrote Toyota Kata also wrote a book called Learning to See, helpfully, which explains value stream mapping. Understand how value flows through the organisation. Understand how people interact, and understand how information flows. You've got to grasp the current situation in as much detail as you can. The first time you go and try and apply any kind of continuous improvement, the first few steps will always be find out more, understand where you are. And this is an interesting thing. You've got your current state, you know where you are, fantastic, I've got my direction given. I can define a target state, somewhere to strive for. And the first thing you'll probably try and do is create a plan and follow that plan. I know where I am, I know where I'm going, I'm going to do my plan, set it all out, and I'm just going to follow that plan blindly the whole way through. And this is what's known as blind implementation mode. You're just travelling in that direction. And Toyota Kata does not suggest that. Do not plan, do not try and predict the journey. If you've got people who are skilled at learning, at adaptability, evolving, at problem solving, why do you need to? These guys have built it into their subconscious, it's in their psyche, this is what they do continually. They learn through PDCA cycles the whole way through. It's all about learning. This is the PDCA cycle. Toyota added go and see in the middle. It was the key point. So, PD study act. We try this a lot, and sometimes we don't get it right. Plan, if you're following a scientific method or a scientific approach, you're going to create a hypothesis. I've got an idea. I believe this will work. And it's not a hypothesis which has that kind of interesting outcome. Oh, let's see what happens. I've got a plan, I'm going to try it. Let's see what happens. Because you can always see what happens. It's not whether you fail or succeed. It's just you'll always succeed, you'll always see what happens. Execution, and then studying the results. Where we fall down on at the moment is act, stabilising it and then going into it. And this is what they do. Plan, do, study, act, continually, moving from that current state to that target state. Now, this target state can be, well, how long do you think it should be? Interesting question. Depends. Depends on your knowledge, depends on how quick you want to go through the learning cycle. I'd say about 1 to 4 weeks maybe for target state, maybe length of an iteration. Run experiments the whole way through, have an active experiment going. If you've got deep knowledge and you're very well practiced, you can have a target state a little bit of a way out. You may set a larger challenge and have multiple target conditions moving towards that state. The point is, set a goal and iteratively learn and head towards that state. This is the improvement kata. This little box here is the other side of this. It's the other side of the routine. It's how they encourage and how they make sure. It's part of the accelerated learning. This is the master coaching. All of their managers are looking at the people applying this problem-solving skill, this problem-solving technique, and they have the managers looking at how they're applying it. Now they're not looking, this is a very important part, they're not looking at the outcome. They've not got the answer in their heads and just waiting for them to guess the right answer. They just want to see how well they're learning and whether they're doing it in a scientific way. So they try and ask these 5 questions, which I don't think is entirely right. It's called 5 questions, and in fact there's 7 questions. Oh, that's me. What's the target condition? Where are you heading towards? What are you hoping to achieve? What's the condition now? What's the environment like? And what obstacles are preventing you from reaching that target condition? Again, it's assessing, are you going about this in a scientific way? Are you going to get the right kind of learnings? And what's your next step? What are you going to expect? Do you have an outcome that we can evaluate? So every step of the way are key points. Maybe at stand-ups, there's questions being asked. You're going through this improvement cycle. Are you doing it in the right way? Are you learning in the right way? And again, it's not the outcome that's important. Results are not the point. Look on Mary Poppin did. It's not the point, it's how they're learning. They just want their people to be highly skilled at problem solving. So, I've rattled through this very quickly. I'm currently a service delivery manager for an organisation with multiple delivery teams. And I loved this book, and I thought, how can we apply this? There's got to be a way of getting this into a software team. Now, Hack and Force has done a lot of interesting work. Please Google that guy. But we have this flow, this way of working. 5 teams, each with a iteration manager, iteration master, scrum manager, whichever you want to call them, and team leads, various names, and me, and each with a different sort of mindset and a different role. These guys, trying to make these happy, healthy individuals, we want these guys to own their work, have this integrated decision making, be able to adapt and evolve the way of working. We have these team leaders who are conscious they want their teams to be happy and healthy. These guys have their own set of improvement cards to follow, same as me. This is how it's structured in Toyota the whole way up the chain. So it's not just a case of there's a group with running an improvement card or a coaching card. Everyone up to CEO level at Toyota has a coach and an improvement card and a way of adapting and improving the system. So what does it look like? We try to create a vision and a philosophy. We want to delight customers through the innovative delivery of the right feature at the right time, at the right price, and with the right level of quality. As philosophy, something we can buy into. Our vision, somewhat aligned. 0 defects, 100% value added, highest value first on demand, and happy teams. We're actually not too bad at happy teams. We've got that one kind of sorted at the moment. It's the other stuff that we're still working through. But our current state is unknown. So we're in that first phase. We've gone through a lot of, as I said before, we've captured so much great improvement material. We do micro retrospectives, we do macro retros, we do retros everywhere. We've got this huge amount of improvement energy. But what we've just got is just walls with post-its and cards and chubby and just this information everywhere, and it's like improvement whack-a-mole. There's just improvement opportunities scattered around the area, and it's like, What do we pick first? Where do we know to head? Which direction are we going in? Having this Kata, having this target state gives you that direction. Everyone will have a preconceived bias. Oh, this will be easier. Oh, there's a KPI over here, so I've got to go that way. But if you've got this vision and you've got to try and understand the target state, you're moving in that direction. That's what drives us. So first up, understand our system of work. Now this has been a very insightful thing to try and do. We brought all the teams together a couple of weeks ago, and we said, okay, together, collectively, collaboratively, let's draw our entire system of work. Let's understand it. Now we have a very large data warehouse. Everyone familiar with data warehousing here? Very good. We have a staging area, an integration area, we have access layers, we have reports, we have downstream feeds, we have a huge integrated test platform. But we had 5 teams that are working in a slightly different way. So first up, we said, okay, fantastic, let's just draw what it looks like. Produce all your stories. We created something called, I won't say the name, we created a dummy project, we shall say, and we said, okay, here's this project. It touched every part of the warehouse. Create your stories. What does it look like? Let's understand the current state. Let's draw this system of work. And every team went away, came back with their own stories. And every team had a slightly different way of building it, a slightly different way of understanding and interpreting the project. And okay, that's fine, that's cool. And we came to a consensus, we came to an understanding. And we went, yeah, fantastic. We've now got a standard set of a way of building the data warehouse up to staging area. Then we said, go away and estimate that in ideal developer days. And they did this, and the variance was amazing. Some teams could do this in 18 ideal developer days, some teams could do it in 47 ideal developer days. So it's pot luck which customer was coming through and got which team. And we tried to understand what was the difference, what was the variance. An improvement that had taken place a few months ago. Brand new piece of automation. 2 teams knew how to use it. No one told the other 3 teams. So all of a sudden we're like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So this ACT part, the PDCA cycle, when you stabilise an improvement initiative, simply didn't happen. By following a rigorous scientific approach, you can get vastly better results. So this was just a byproduct. All of a sudden we understood, okay, we've got a slight failing here. So we'll stop, we'll get everyone on board with what these new improvements are. We've already gone out the door, all these little batch patterns, all the automation. And what's scary? That's the easiest part. This integration layer we're tackling next is much scarier. But we're going through this process of understanding, getting everybody's thoughts and views out on the table. This is actually the next check on Tuesday. I've got a session with the guys where we're trying to understand exactly what that integration layer looks like. And it's all about delighting customers for the innovative delivery, the right feature at the right time at the right price and with the right level of quality. Long time ago, I fancied myself as a political activist. I registered a website, questioneverything.org. It's my passion. Again, this goes back to my personality type, self-promotional and not interested in rules. And nothing came of it. I discovered red wine and became a bit melancholic. The rage died down in me. But this still holds true. Toyota believe that there is always a better way. They question everything all the time, every way of working. They've got their people highly skilled at doing this. It's in their subconscious. This is what they know how to do. It's easy. They see a problem, put an hand on call, 1,000 changes on every assembly line, 1 million a year. They question everything in the pursuit of that vision. And if there's one thing I'd like you to do, question everything and believe there's a better way. That's me. Thank you. This one's great. Any questions?